Hey guys, welcome back. Keep in mind, this is version B, Objective C. So double check that your test says form B. Okay, let's do the kite question. So a kite has two equal sides that are adjacent and another equal side that are adjacent. So we know that there's two short sides and two long sides of a kite. Now let's set up this formula. It says one side of the kite is 5 meters less than 3 times the length of the other side. So we're going to build this equation. Now what else? Well, we know that the perimeter would be x plus x, add up all the sides would equal the perimeter, add up all 4 sides, and here the perimeter is 50. So in class, we found a shortcut. We can combine these two and combine these two and rewrite the question like that. Okay, so now what's next? Now it's an algebra problem. We're going to substitute this in for x. So 2 times this stuff plus the 2y is equal to 50. So when we distribute, we add 10 to both sides and get 60. So if we divide by 8 on both sides, we get y is equal to 15 halves. Okay. Y is equal to 15 halves, or most kids probably turn this into a decimal, so let's see what that decimal is. 7.5. Okay, now let's plug this back in. X is equal, I've got a little room over here. X is equal to 3 times my 15 halves minus 5. So that would be 45 halves minus 10 halves would be 35 halves. If that's too complicated, I'll show you how to do it with a calculator. So x is equal to 3 times the decimal, 7.5, minus 5. So let's figure out what that is. So you had 60 divided by 8, and you got 7.5, right? 60 divided by 8, you got 7.5. Then you multiply it by 3 and subtract 5. I get 17.5. So x is the decimal 17.5. Let's double check our answer. We got 35 halves. 35 halves is 17.5. So I would take the fraction 35 halves or 17 and a half. Cool. Next question. We have an isosceles trapezoid. So it looks something like your desk. And it says the base angles are R and S. So we know these are on the base, and because it's isosceles, it's symmetrical. So these two would be equal. Now, what else do we know? Well, the trapezoid's named RAYS, rays. So they're asking if angle R was 15x plus 8 and angle S was 13x plus 14, how can you solve for A? Well, we know these are equal, so let's set those equal and solve. Okay. X is equal to 3. But if you just told me that, you can't get full credit because the question says find A, so you're not done. Let's plug this back in. So I have if angle R is 15 times 3 plus 8, then that's 45 plus 8, or 53. Okay, so this is 53. Now the other thing we know about isosceles trapezoids is they should add up to 180. Same side supplementary. See how they're on the same side of this transversal and these are parallel? So angle A has to be 180 minus 53 because of the same side interior angle theorem. So I get my answer 127, and that's the answer they're looking for. What's the measure of angle A? The measure of angle A is 127. Cool. All right, let's do another one. It says one side of a kite, so I get to build my kite again. Again, if I'm going too fast, just slow it down. One side of the kite is 2 more than 5 times the other side. And before we know, the perimeter would be 2 x's and 2 y's, add up to 62. Okay, so we can take this and substitute it in here where we see the x. 2 times 5y plus 2 plus the 2y equals 62. Now let's distribute. So I get 12y is equal to 58. So let's divide by 12 on both sides. 4.83 repeating. Okay. Could I leave it as a decimal? Yeah, those both look even. So half of 58, or a fraction, be 29/6. So I would take the answer 29/6, or 4.83 repeating. Now let's solve for the other side. So that's what we got for y. Let's get our x. So looking back here, we can plug in either one. If you plug in the decimal, 5 times the decimal still in your calculator, plus 2. Let's do it. 5 times this decimal, oh, that's not the decimal I get. Let me hit clear. Let me put it back in there. So I got 58 divided by 12. 58 divided by 12. 4.83 repeating. Okay, now I'm going to multiply by 5 and add 2, and I get x is 26.16 repeating, and I'll take that as a final answer. 26.16 repeating. What would it be as a fraction? So let's take a look. Okay, so I have x is equal to 5 times 29/6 plus another 2. Okay, so 5 times 29 is 145 all over 6, and then I'm going to put 12/6, because 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay, so I get my answer 157 over 6. Let's see if these are equal to each other. 157 divided by 6, yep. So I get my final answer. I would also take 157 over 6 as my fraction. Cool. Okay. Back of the paper. Almost done. Please remember, this is test version B, objective D. So I am on form B. Let's take a look. It said list the sides longest to shortest. Okay, so I set up a triangle. And they give me, this is A, this is B, this is C. Now, those are all angle measurements. We know that the 3 angles of a triangle add up to 180 because of the triangle sum theorem. So, we can set up the equation like this. Okay, now let's just combine like terms. So we have an 8x, 6x, minus a 3x. So 14 minus 3 is 11x. And then the numbers we can combine. So we have an 84, take away 8, take away 6. We get 70. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 70 on both sides, get 110. Divide by 11 on both sides, get x is equal to 110 over 11, which is 10. Now, a lot of people got 10, but they didn't get all the credit because they ask, order the sides longest to shortest. So now we have to plug in 10, and plug in 10. Let's do that. So angle A would be 8 times 10 minus 6, 6 times 10 minus 8. Angle C, 84 minus 3 times 10. Okay. So let's figure out the measure of these angles. 80 minus 6 is 74. 60 minus 8 is 52. 84 minus 30 is 54. Okay, so I can try to redraw the picture. The biggest angle is A at 74, right? The medium angle is C at 54, and B is 52. I'm supposed to order longest to shortest. So this is the longest because it's opposite the biggest angle. This one would have to be medium because it's opposite the medium angle, and 52 is the smallest. So this is the smallest side. Okay, so let's order them. Longest to shortest would be BC, medium, AB, and smallest would be AC. So notice, since angle B was the smallest number, it doesn't get listed in the name because it's the side opposite the angle that would be the shortest. Okay, now let's look at 11. 11, we said the third side has to fit between if we subtracted the two sides and if we added the two sides. So if we subtract the two sides, we get 15. If we add the two sides, we get 27. So that would be all possible lengths is 15. I kind of probably put these symbols wrong, so if you want to fix those. 15 to 27. Last one, let's do it. Oh, this one's a blast from the past. It says angle 4 and angle 8. What would they need to be in order for these to be parallel? That's a parallel sign. So those are considered corresponding. So if those are parallel, for them to be parallel, angle 4 has to be equal to angle 8 because of the corresponding angle theorem. So let's set them equal to each other. We did it. That's all they're looking for on question 12 is for you to solve for the variable. So this is my variable x. Great job, guys. Good luck, study, and see you next time.